Going, man. You and I are both grinding, and well, we're ready for the draft. I think we're ready for some semblance of familiarity, and just be able to see where these guys are going. We always debate, ooh, well, could this team draft this guy and this player and yada yada. And I just think at this point we're ready to see, these players actually in their you know, in their jerseys, whatever you want to call it, not just a Photoshop, but for real. We have all sorts of stuff going on. The quarterbacks are very interesting. First off, you have four quarterbacks that are probably going to go in the top five. Then you have the best offensive line tackle prospect I've ever watched, ever, in Penny Sewell. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. I don't know why people are second guessing him because of his small
His
arms, which is they're like below average, but by like an inch, or like you know what I mean. Like it's by like this. Like it's not a big deal to me. He just moves so well. He actually, I forget. I think my friend AJ Schulte tweeted this out. He barely missed having the same three cone drill as Andrew Bakhtiari, or David Bakhtiari. Sorry. And he's like 30 pounds more than Bakhtiari.
Yeah.
So the dude moves very well.
Yeah, he had
You know,
what was his 40? It was like 509, right?
which isn't
Which is-
like bad.
for
I
a
feel like
lineman,
people
that's
are like
good.
offensive linemen need to run a 4.8. Like it's like,
No, that's 4.8 would be ridiculous for an offensive lineman.
yeah,
I
Aviante
think-
Collins.
Yeah.
Remember we were talking about that? Yeah,
I think anything like under a 5'10", you're like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I think he looks good. I saw that people were the narrative was shifting on him or trying to be shifted. Like I saw people complaining about his vertical jump, which was I think 28 inches, but it's like, dude, he's 300 and
I
whatever
know.
many
Do I
pounds.
care about a left tackle's
Does he
vertical?
need to jump?
Yeah.
Like I get
Is
like
he gonna need to block his own quarterback
Yeah.
from throwing? Like, is he go? Oh, sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I get
that's just
like
stupid.
the idea is like explosion comes from jumping,
Yeah. No,
but-
of course. I get that.
but still it's like you're nitpicking, you know?
100%. You are 100% nitpicking.
Yeah.
And let's be real here. Measurables are like you need context to use measurables.
Yeah.
You can't just use the end all be all measurables. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we actually came in here thinking like, oh, we're going to talk, about Justin Fields because I think he's also a narrative that to me he's being unfairly treated. But we were talking about it and I'm like, oh my God, Penny Sewell, stop overthinking this. Like
Yeah.
I really think he's going to be special.
You think he'll be
I don't just
special?
say that. I
Yeah.
think he's going to be like an all-world
Wow.
left tackle.
Dang.
And I think that the Bengals are out of their gourd if they select a wide receiver over.
No, they have to get Joe Burrow protection. I mean, yeah, without a doubt. I don't know that I think he's going to be like all world. That's pretty crazy, but definitely he's going to be good and the Bengals need that protection. I mean, Joe Burrow got destroyed last year. It was bad. So
No,
that
it absolutely was. I mean,
that whole line needs some work on it, so they should start there for sure.
well, I'm glad you brought that up because Joe Burrow also he also spoke out about getting Jamar Chase. There's a report about him
Yeah, I
wanting
saw that.
Jamar Chase. And what I'll say is this, Joe, do you ever want to end up having a career in the NFL? Do you want to continue to be alive and well and throw the football with accuracy and velocity and things that you can do?
Yeah.
Well, the best way to do that is by having an offensive line, which you didn't last year. Look what
Right.
happened. So now I understand this offensive tackle class is really good, but having a guy like Sewell and having a guy in the second round, there's a big drop-off because Sewell is that good. I think Sewell is as good as people say Trevor Lawrence is. I just think he's not a quarterback, so he's not as flashy. But I said that like the year Tunsil came out, people were like, Wentz or Goff as the number one guy. And I love Wentz. Absolutely loved Wentz. He was my number 2 player in the draft. Sewell's my number, or not Sewell. Tunsil was my number 1. I felt like Tunsil was a no-brainer. You need a left tackle, you go and get him. And he's turned out to be a fairly good player.
Yeah, and he'll keep growing. He's got to adapt. I mean,
Yeah, I think we need to.
he had a rocky start, poor guy. With
Yeah.
that picture. Remember that picture on draft night
Yeah, that was.
with the gas mask?
It worked out for
What
the
a
Dolphins.
jerk.
Who knew after that he would like facilitate this monster trade?
Still though, like who would do that? Who would think like, yes, I'm gonna ruin his career, try to ruin his draft
obviously,
stock?
They didn't like him very much, and that
Yeah.
was all devious.
It's crazy.
Not
bro.
any normal thinking person would do that.
No, it's crazy.
Like, I just
I wonder if we'll have some drama like that draft night this year.
like, as you know, like I've told you, I'm not gonna name the guy, but I have dirt on somebody who was
I don't recall you saying
was
that.
close to, well, not close to me, but it was like with my ex-girlfriend or whatever. And like he
Wait,
said some things.
You know a draft prospect?
Not in the NFL, but it was in the MLB.
You never told me this story. You're going to have to tell me later off stream.
Yeah.
I want to hear this.
Well, I thought I did. So, yeah, there's this big-time MLB prospect. He's probably going to be one of the best pitchers in the MLB.
Oh, he's not in yet?
He's well, I think he actually is in the MLB right now. But yeah, he wasn't the I don't know. There's some stuff there, and I'll leave it at that. But you know, I guess the reason I bring that up is because I'm not out there like he ruined me or like he did like made mistakes, sure, but like I'm not gonna like that's not up to me to destroy his life.
Nah.
You know what I mean? So whatever Tunsil did to piss somebody off, that's not up to them to leak that video.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm getting.
So
at.
strange. And then the fact that they shared it all draft night, like that's messed up too. They were like running the video over and over again.
Yeah.
Just gross, man.
It's
Nasty.
just, yeah, well, you know how they are.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I've never seen, and I'm not going to just absolutely trash the draft, but I feel like it's like, doesn't it seem like they always take a player that like lost a family member or something, and like they keep drilling in your mind, by the way, he lost his mom, he lost his mom, he lost his mom. It's like, that's really like.
They did that with James Conner. When the cancer,
and it's like, you know,
all the time, just that's who he is. He's
does
cancer.
a draft prospect really want to see that? Like,
No,
the
I'm
night
sure
he's
they just want to
drafted?
be like, who am I as a player? 99% of them probably hate that, and they're just like, just talk about me as a player.
So if you want to mention it in the opening
Right.
like dialogue,
Mentioning it's different,
okay,
but, like, hammering
he lost
it-
his mom and what he's been able to do.
Right.
He's living with a room full of 11 of his family members. Like, okay,
That's cool. The
Yeah.
first time,
but don't like he lost his mom.
and don't forget he lost his mom.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? It's,
It's like, okay.
Like, can we pledge to not do that? Like, for the love of God. And we're
Those-
going to have our own draft show. So
those
we'll try our
narratives.
best to not be hypocrites and do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't mind mentioning it once. But I do think that's one thing during the draft where it can be mentioned way too much.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's a serious, I think it's an issue because this is the biggest night of their life. And it's like, if you're constantly bringing that up, like they're watching. Like, I know some people think like draft prospects are too good to watch the draft, but a lot of them are watching.
I'm sure that most of them would. That's like
You would
I would
think.
watch. If
Yeah.
I was getting
I'd-
picked for
yeah,
a new
absolutely.
job, I'd be watching every second. Also, what do you think of Trevor Lawrence not going? Do you care at all?
No. And, you know, the people that do and they're knocking him because, you know, oh. he's
I would want to be with my family.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming I haven't seen exactly the details of what they're doing for the players as far as like letting them bring friends and family, but I'm sure that they aren't letting like 10, 20 people come because of COVID.
Exactly.
So it's probably very strict about who can come. So that to me, it's like, well, I want to be with all my friends and family, so I'll just stay home.
That's my thing is like, so
But they
I'm-
won't say that. They'll just be like, Trevor Lawrence is not going to the draft, and that's it.
character issues.
No context, no
Can
nothing.
he lead a football team?
Right, exactly. It's just
My
like,
God.
yeah,
He doesn't want to be around his peers.
right.
Does he
Just
think
stuff
that,
like that'll.
Yeah. Does he think that Trey Lance is better than him? Like, how do you get that from that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And then, by the way, this is exactly why people watch YouTube now. YouTube Sports. It's why it's
Sure.
taken over because people are tired of those narratives. How is that teaching me anything at home? Oh well, I don't know. You know, Baker Mayfield saw aliens, so I mean, my quarterback doesn't see aliens.
Yeah.
See that whole thing? Like,
That was coward, right?
yeah, and I like some of the things he says, but I have to point that out because isn't that so true though? Like, people are
yeah.
now watching YouTube Sports more than ever before. That's why guys like Pat McAfee are killing it because like the talking heads now have gone off the rails.
just
and they feel like
annoying.
they can say anything they want, and we've seen that. And so this, you know, basically puts me right into where I want to be with the topic of Justin Fields because I'm watching the film, and what do you guys not get that Justin Fields is a top quarterback in this draft? Like, he's my fourth quarterback, but that
Yeah, he
still
is.
constitutes as a top 5 pick. So, like, I don't understand how people are at home thinking this guy has character issues, which literally have never come out
I've
ever.
never heard that. Yeah.
There was a tweet that said he had character issues. Because
Oh
of
well,
people
then
he was
it
hanging
must be
around.
legit then, right?
Yeah. And then there's another thing where he isn't a hard worker, which was quickly debunked by literally everyone and his mother. Like, I mean, it's like literally everyone. So just to me, it's gotten to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? You don't like him. You don't. And I feel like this, like draft Twitter, draft Facebook, whatever, that culture, not everybody, but a lot of people want all the guys that they don't have as their number one guy to fail. And so they start like pushing this stuff. And I'm like,
Right.
can we just like look at the fact that this draft class, albeit it's a very bad overall quarterback class, but at the top, you're
going to have 4 potential quarterbacks taken in a row. I don't think you can say overall it's bad. I think
no, after the top, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some guys. I think there's like 6 to 7 interesting quarterbacks.
I mean,
which
you know,
to me is like a good class. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's just you're not going to see like a Gardner Minshew in the 6th round type of deep.
But
know?
What do you think of Kellen Mond? You like him?
Big arm,
dude. Did you see his
didn't
pro
have,
day?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
he was good at the.
He
Senior
might have had
Bowl.
the strongest arm there,
like
of all the pro days.
I don't know. Like, it's weird when I watch his tape. He's either like he can really show you in like bunches and flashes. Like, okay, this guy can.
No,
throw,
he needs work for sure, but
he's got some horrible.
I feel like a team is going to be like Dak Prescott, and it's not going to be Dak Prescott. You know what I mean?
I think he's the
like,
closest to Dak Prescott.
Right,
in this
but
draft.
some team is going to be like, oh, that's the next Dak, and they'll take him like too early, and then it won't be Dak because Daks don't come around like that.
I will say, I don't know how anybody could draft Felipe Franks. I just spent probably a whole day watching Van Jefferson film, and I don't know how you have Van Jefferson, Kyle Pitts, LaMichael Pirine, Kadarius Toney, and you just tuck it and run 30 times.
Because you're not good?
Like, these guys are open. And people are like, Van Jefferson never had 1,000 yards in college. Well, gee, I wonder why that was.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm watching. I'm like, Felipe Franks is literally staring at Van Jefferson 30 yards wide open down the field, and he just tucks in and runs and gets 2 yards. Like,
yeah, he's a weird one.
I know
Some
he's
team
different with Arkansas. Like, I know that he's a little bit different.
Some teams are going to draft him, though.
Well, yeah, I think people, you know, they
like
look
the
at the
size.
tools and the size, and yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to happen. That's the way the draft is. But, you know, I think Kyle Trask, who took over for him last season,
I like him.
He looked pretty good last year, and I feel like this year he didn't. He doesn't look as good.
He
this
looked
year.
good.
I don't
Nah,
know.
he
I'm
good.
not the biggest fan of him, but I
you
do
watched
see,
the one bad game and you like soured on him.
Well, the one bad game was a pretty big game. I just think in big games he's just.
Trevor Lawrence had a bad game against Ohio State.
Well, and I actually bring that up.
But are you moving him from like? Do you think he won't be drafted number 1 overall?
It wouldn't be. You know, I think obviously they take him at 1. You know, I think Trey Lance is my top quarterback, but you know he's number 2. But I do think that like this giant gap between Lawrence and everyone else, I just don't think exists.
Oh, I don't think it exists either.
And I think there's people that are constantly trying to make this exist. I think there's a bigger gap between Sewell and Darisaw and the other guy that I can't remember, Slater. I think there's a bigger gap between those 3 than there is Lawrence and the quarterbacks.
Maybe. Yeah, I like Kyle Trask. I don't want the Steelers to draft him because I feel like he's probably just going to be a better Mason Rudolph. Like his arm is just, oh my God. If he had mobility, like if he could actually move and he didn't look like he was stuck in cement and his arm was stronger, I would say he's a first-round quarterback. Because his accuracy, his like anticipation, his timing, and like his ability to read and find the open guy, it's like really good. Like it's up there with the best in this class. I mean, probably behind Trevor, obviously, and a few other guys, but he would be a first-round pick to me if it was literally just for those 2 traits. But unfortunately, you can't teach those traits. So he's always just going to be not mobile. And he's always just going to be, you know, his arm is going to limit him, and that's not something I can live with in a first-round quarterback in today's NFL. So I feel for the guy. I hope he does well. I'm rooting for him. But
you know, I feel like Trask is very similar to Kirk Cousins the year he was drafted. When
Cousins had a better arm.
He had a better arm, but
and better mobility.
Accuracy-wise, I kind of feel like he fits that mold. I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners grab Trask in a first-round quarterback, to be honest with you.
Well, they would have to do that at pick number 3.
Yeah.
You think the Niners would draft Kyle Trask at pick number 3?
No. They draft the first-round quarterback and then pick Trask in like the 4th.
Oh, I thought you said
As
draft him
insurance,
in
because
first.
we saw that with
first.
RG3. The same year the Skins traded up.
Sure,
they
whatever.
got RG3 and then they got Cousins.
I think
in the
he's
4th.
like a 4th round or maybe even 5th. That arm, I mean, the arm strength is huge these days. You can't get away with it as a rookie quarterback.
I mean, I'd rather have Davis Mills.
Sure.
I like him a lot. I think he's got a fine arm. I don't think he's got the best arm in the room, but I just had Kyle Sloter on my show the other day, and we were talking, and he mentioned something really important about Sam Bradford. He said, Bradford really doesn't have a cannon. Like he's never been a rocket arm, but the dude, when you give him time, he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. Like he can literally throw.
Is he still in the NFL? He's not in.
Not
it.
anymore.
Yeah.
But his point is when he was playing with him, because he was on that Vikings team when Bradford, Keenum, and Bridgewater were there, and I think that actually makes a lot of sense because I feel like nowadays we focus so much on rocket arms that we don't give accuracy enough credit.
Oh, accuracy matters, of course.
Like, can you drop it in the bucket? But can you drop it in? So take that. You dropped in the bucket. Now can you drop it in the bucket in between 2 defenders?
Right.
Let's take
huge.
it further, and now the game's on the line. You need to make a play in the 4th quarter. It's 2 minutes left to go. Can you drop it in the bucket in between 3 defenders? And it like that window of opportunity is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Can you withstand that?
No, I know. I mean, accuracy is the most important aspect of it, obviously, and then a close second, especially today, is arm strength because you got to be able to make those crazy throws now.
And it's like, do you have general accuracy or do you have pinpoint accuracy? Pinpoint accuracy to me is Russell Wilson. He'll put it exactly where he knows his receiver wants it. It's incredible, the fact he knows that, but he's going to put it exactly where his receiver wants the ball. General accuracy, you're just getting it to your receiver. You're not necessarily throwing him open. You're just, can you throw from point A to point B? Can you hit a target?
Yeah, speaking of accuracy, that's probably one of the weakest aspects of Fields' game, which is probably a fair point for why he's getting soured on a little bit, not as much as he should be. Like, he's getting soured on too much, I feel like. But that's probably why he's, like, my 4th, because just in general, his accuracy just isn't – his anticipation, the accuracy, it leaves room to be desired.
He makes some wow throws that just aren't talked about.
Yeah, but a lot of quarterbacks can make a wow throw every now and then.
Well, I
want the guy who hits the throw on the sideline out route 10 times out of 10, as opposed to the guy who can, every 15th pass
I just
drop
think
a bomb.
That people are scouting the helmet more than the player. I think people are looking at Dwayne Haskins, remembering what they thought about him and how they're right or whatever, and they're not giving him the benefit of the doubt. Plus, you already know where I feel. I don't feel like Haskins' career is over. But I don't think they're giving Fields the benefit of the doubt. I think they're scouting the helmet. We saw this with USC quarterbacks. We saw this with USC wide receivers. I mean, no one wanted to give Aguilar a shot, Woods a shot. It's all been, Mike Williams years ago, Dwayne Jarrett, and Steve Smith. So we're not going to even for a second think USC receivers can succeed in this league. Then Juju proves them wrong. Woods proves them wrong. Aguilar has a great year last year. And now you're seeing like Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be drafted this year. You just had Michael Pittman last year. So it's like I'm not scouting the helmet. I'm going to scout the player. I always say that.
Of course.
And I feel like people say that, but they don't actually mean it. I think they, behind everyone's back or behind maybe their own back, they don't even realize it. They're scouting the helmet. And so I look at, Justin Fields, and I think, if you don't think he can be a franchise quarterback in the NFL, explain to me exactly why you don't think he can be a franchise quarterback. And I don't think anybody, based on what we've seen, can do that with the sample size Fields has shown us. And what I find funny is that we give Trevor Lawrence a pass for looking horrible against Ohio State, but we don't give Justin Fields credit for beating Clemson. And another thing is we always bag on Justin Fields for not getting the job done in the national title game, but we don't ever take into effect that maybe he actually was playing with broken ribs, which he was from that hit. So
I think people take that in. I've seen people mention that.
I just haven't seen enough of it, though. And I feel like he's kind of, every year we have like a player who's like controversial, right? And they're a good player, but everyone tries to make it more than it is. Fields has become that guy.
Who was it last year? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, now I say every year we have a player, and now I'm totally blanking on last year's draft. What was the last year's draft? We had that was Herbert. Honestly, it was Herbert
Maybe.
because people were like, "Oh, Tua to the Dolphins, no brainer." And I was saying, look, I think you're focusing so much on the fact that Tua had a nice story, took over for just Jalen Hurts when he got hurt and won a national title. But the fact of the matter is that Justin Herbert had been that guy since freshman year, at Oregon. He was a true freshman, and
Right.
he had been that guy all along. He always should have gone in the top. And it's like no matter what it was, people kept trying to defend this idea that he had fallen off or his offense wasn't NFL ready. And I'm like, have we learned anything? Justin Herbert to me was a no-brainer pick for the Dolphins, and they didn't make the pick. But I think that's
That
a guy
kid in
that
Miami would have been fun
yeah,
with all the stuff they have.
I absolutely
Yeah,
agree.
dude. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. It happens every year. We'll see what the narrative becomes closer to draft day or draft night. I'm just excited. I wish it was here, bro. What
Yeah.
is it? It's 28th?
The 29th.
29th?
Yeah,
First
29th,
round.
30th, 31st and first.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think it's the 29th though.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun.
I can't wait to see where these quarterbacks go.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get that TV working behind the camera,
Oh, I know, yeah.
and then we'll have everything up there, and we'll be able to react right on the spot. But
Yeah, so I think the Steelers are going to be drafting Najee Harris. I got a bad feeling.
well, okay, so
A
talk
good
about
bad
that.
feeling.
So because the Steelers are an interesting one. We talked about it. I personally think they should go tackle.
Me too.
You kind of feel like they should go tackle, or at least if
Or
they're
a
gonna
defensive piece that falls,
Yeah.
like a J.C. Horn, like a very specific defensive piece. It has to be the right person. But
like Zaven Collins.
right, Zaven Collins maybe I'd be okay with. But
Did you have a problem with his 40 time? I saw people.
What was
complaining
it? It
about
was
his 40 time.
4.6?
It was like 4.69, but like the dude's
he's
250
270 pounds,
or
bro.
200 so yeah,
like
exactly.
no,
It's
I don't have a problem with that.
6'5", like
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
oh, he didn't run a 4.3.
Yeah.
Well, I think okay. Let's actually talk about something else. 40 times. I was called by somebody on Twitter. I was called disrespectful because I said that I kind of made a joke that like it's like wow they're really handing out those 4.3s this year,
They are.
and the guy's like that's the most disrespectful thing anybody said.
It
in
might be
draft
the
process.
most 4.3s in the history of the draft season.
Like you do realize like these guys
No
are like
lie.
99th percentile athletes, and I'm not really buying it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many of them, dude. And
That's
I
the
mean, think
thing.
of a stopwatch hand. I mean, I know they also have like some of the radars set up too, but there was a lot of stopwatch going on.
I think it's
And, dude,
either well, hey, look, it's either
tenth-
they're being like they're helping these guys out with their stopwatches, or
I
the
think it's
NFL
just.
Combine has a problem and their radar was off.
I doubt
And
that.
I don't know if that's the case.
I think it's just stopwatch mistakes, and I mean, think about a tenth of a second can change you from a 4.5 to a 4.4 guy, or
Yeah.
a 4.4 to a 4.3, and a tenth of a second. I mean, that's so easy to mess that up. So I just think it's the pro day stuff. They don't have the radars up to the capacity that they've been at the combine, which is a little concerning. Not gonna lie, it's a little because you're gonna draft guys thinking you're getting 4.3 guys
That's
who are
gonna
gonna
be
take
funny.
the top off and they're gonna get to the
On
NFL
draft
and you're
night.
like, why
This-
can't you?
This safety, they'll show like highlights.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, dude, that guy's slow. They'd be like, he ran a 4.3. I'm like, no, he did not.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen because it's like everyone and their mother was running a 4.3. And I found it funny. I kept like hitting on that. I didn't like mention him because I didn't want to give him any clout, but I kept like hitting on that on Twitter.
Who?
So like this guy on Twitter, like I don't want to give him any, care about.
Oh, the guy that was mad about you
Yeah.
mentioning it.
Yeah, he writes for a site that I respect, so I'm not gonna further do that. But, yeah, he said like I was disrespectful, so like I just kept.
How is that It's a comment.
Well, it's not disrespectful.
Who cares?
Like, don't be soft, I guess. I don't know, but
That's so
it was
weird.
funny
People are
because
weird.
all these like former players and stuff, they were going out and they were speaking out against it, and they're like, wow, these.
Yeah, they're mad.
So I did the quote tweet, and I was like, hey, man, I'd watch it. I was called disrespectful for saying this. I kept just quote tweeting like
Yeah.
different players saying that because it's a joke to me. Like People are gonna say what they will, but if you think that's disrespectful, oh man.
This is the year where you definitely just pay more attention to the tape
Yeah.
for so many reasons.
I think it's more of a I think it's a red flag personally if a guy runs a 4.3, but then on tape he runs a 4.9. So what am I supposed to take away from that? I'm supposed to take
no,
away
you just go to the
in
tape.
gym shorts and just a shoes on. He runs a 4.3.
Yeah, trust
But
the
when
tape.
he's in the game, he can't play to that same speed. Why do you think that is? The pads might be too heavy. Doubt it. It's gotten to the point where those guys don't even realize pads are on. Or a big thing here, just a guess, maybe their anticipation isn't the same. They don't have a feel for the football game as they do for just running in a straight line, and therefore the 4.3 actually doesn't constitute the game, and that is a red flag to me because that means that their mental processing maybe or their anticipation isn't up to par,
No.
and so they can't play at their full speed.
I
That's
agree.
not a good sign.
And Javonte Williams ran a 4.58 apparently. So I feel like
So he definitely didn't trick anybody.
that
with
was
his
sad.
running
That was definitely sad.
That's
for
not a
me.
big deal. Though.
No, I mean
because that in the NFL,
Josh
that'll look
Jacobs
like
ran a
4.4.
4.6 at the combine. So, and to me, they're very similar kind of running backs. But
Yeah, that's a good comp.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I like that. Hey.
But yeah, the
frame that.
Steelers. It doesn't matter because the Steelers are definitely drafting Najee Harris, and I'm not happy about it. He's going to be a good player. It's not that I don't think he's going to be good. I think we can both agree Najee Harris is going to be probably a stud for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But it's just one, it's going to be 4 or 5 years because he's already 23. At the end of his rookie deal, he'll be 28. And then two, as I've said many times, I care more about the offensive line. I think that's the bigger need. So I'm getting ready. I'm ready for it. I know it's going to happen. If he's there, it's happening. So
Well, I love Najee.
Yeah.
He's my number one running back, but I do understand that the Steelers have bigger needs. It could be the same thing with the Rams when they drafted Todd Gurley. They see he's like the top guy on their board, and it would just be a disservice to them to try and justify
not
picking
drafting
him.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When they explained it, I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of Todd Gurley at that pick, number 10, because his injuries.
Yeah, I remember.
And I wanted a guy like Devontae Parker, or I wanted Melvin Gordon a little bit later. And when they picked him, I was a little pissed. But then when they explained it, they're like, basically, from what I found out, it was Todd Gurley number 1 on their board, and number 2 is Marcus Mariota. So Mariota was already off the board.
Right.
They already had a quarterback. Todd Gurley's there, and they're like, we're going to get Todd Gurley, And look.
But I just love the D players, man. Some of these defense. If you're gonna go away from the offensive line, I'd rather go like defense.
Well, I get that, but if they have like an astronomical grade on Najee Harris, say he's like 2 on their board, because I don't think he'll be 1. I think a lot of people will have Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson at 1, or Sewell. But if he is there, and the Steelers have a first overall grade on him. But then, like, their tackle that's also there, like Ray Dunes or somebody like
Right.
that, is like 4th or 5th. They're going with the running back.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I think this, and it's also a good thing. I would be hypocritical if I said that they should go after the tackle if that's how they view their board, because if the Rams didn't do that, they wouldn't have gotten Aaron Donald. And you know how I feel about drafting best player available. I feel like that is the way to go. That is why you use free
Always
agency.
though, I feel like
Most
you
of the
gotta
time.
balance. People that say just go BPA, like that's.
Not every time, but I think
I feel like it's always a mix. You always get like you can't like
honestly,
BPA.
when you have an off season like the off season the Steelers had, you probably have to go more need because you didn't fill holes in free agency.
Right, BPA and need is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like I feel like it's always a mix of that. Like think about it. What if the Jaguars again, because they suck it up their first year back, have the first overall pick? Obviously, you're not going to be like, oh, the best player available is another quarterback. Like there's always a little semblance of like, oh, need and BPA.
He is there.
Right? Imagine.
I mean,
who's
we're
he
not
gonna
trying
be?
to start controversy, but
Who's the guy from that we like who might be the number 1 next year? The quarterback, Cincinnati, right?
Ritter.
Is he like potentially the number 1 next year?
Everyone's talking about that one guy,
Who?
Rattler. Spencer
Oh, never
Rattler
even heard of
from
him.
Oklahoma. I'm sticking by Ritter. Everything I saw, Ritter's
Yeah.
Ritter would have gone There would have been 5 straight quarterbacks taken.
This year?
Yeah.
Well, there's still,
Maybe
there
6.
might be this
Maybe
year, though.
even 6 because of Mac Jones. Who, by the way, I think Mac Jones, he's my 6th quarterback because I have a really high grade, surprisingly really high grade on Davis Mills. I just love him. But I think Mac Jones is a good quarterback.
Me too.
And I think it's not really fair because, first off, Mac Jones didn't put himself in this conversation. It's not like he asked to. I mean, I'm not saying he complained.
For number 3, you mean?
But yeah, like everyone's like, oh, he's trash.
He's definitely not trash.
He's not trash.
Absolutely not.
Like and like to me, the thing I worry about is he more of a college quarterback? And to that, I'd say yes. Right now, he's more of a college quarterback. But I will say, if you're a 49ers team, that you look at your team and you see last year we had 30 injuries last year. We had all sorts of season-ending injuries, yada, yada. I'm looking at like, okay, maybe Mac Jones having the highest floor might actually be better off drafting him, starting him immediately, and then competing.
I'd be so mad if I was a Niners fan.
Oh, I would too, but if that's how they see it.
But also,
I don't think that's how they see it. They're getting, I think right now, 100% I can say without a doubt in my mind, I feel like they're drafting Justin Fields.
Yeah, they're definitely going quarterback. I think it's got to be Lance or Fields.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I going to say? There's something here. Yeah, so think about it this way, though. Tua went in the first round last year from Alabama. Mac Jones, I think, had a better year this year than Tua did his final year, and he's not injured. So everyone who's like, even including me at first, I was like, I don't think he's a first-round quarterback. Everyone trying to say he isn't. There's actually a lot of reasons that he just is. Like, the NFL will view him as a first-round quarterback.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he's going.
I don't think Trask. I think
no,
some
not
people
Trask.
tried to.
Nah, I don't think so.
You know, it happens every year too. We're hearing rumblings about another quarterback potentially. It's not happening. But I will say this: having 5 quarterbacks go off the board in the top 5 would literally shake up the entire draft.
That'd be so cool.
It's just not a good draft, though. It's not a good enough draft, though, to be like, oh, well, Kellen Mond in the second round, I'm doing it. Like, and I feel like something like that is going to happen.
Oh, like going early on what, like a Trask or a Mond?
Yeah. I think it's very likely. I think Davis Mills is going to fall. I don't know why.
Well, I don't think people like him like you do.
Yeah, I think he's going to fall. I think he could. If I'm the Niners, I'm 100% drafting him later on as insurance. I think he'd be perfect for their offense.
All right.
So that's where I'm at on that. So we talked about Sewell. You and I both agree you can't really do anything if you don't have protection for your quarterback.
Got to protect the young quarterbacks.
And I understand Jamar Chase, fun, talent,
enticing.
You know,
he crushed it at the pro day.
But at the same time, I look at this draft and I'm like, wide receivers are stacked.
Oh, my God, yeah.
You can go out. You might be able to get a Rondale Moore in the second round. You might be able to get a Kadarius Toney in the second round.
Dude.
Nico Collins, if anything.
Where the Bengals are picked, what is it? What's the pick? God, it's 5th? 5th overall, right, Bengals? Dude, there's going to be
an early second-round pick.
There's going to be so many great receivers there at that 5th overall second-round spot. Like, there's no need to go Jamar Chase. You have to get someone for that line. You got to start building that up.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about my team because the Rams actually lost Austin Blythe for a while.
Oh, yeah, I
like
saw that.
He was going to be the guy.
Sorry, man. I know how it feels.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
It's annoying, and it's annoying when a team that totally neglected the offensive line in the Chiefs is now going out. They get Kyle Long, who I wanted, and now they take the center. But here's the thing, okay? The Rams, they have 2 centers on the roster that are labeled as centers. They have Brian Allen, a 4th-round bust from Michigan State, and they have Coleman Shelton, a guy that just has kind of bounced around a few teams.
Okay.
He made it onto the roster again, so they must see some upside there. He's not even 300 pounds. I would never start either of them. Then you have another option, Austin Corbett. I love that move because if you remember, the Browns drafted Corbett 33rd overall in the 2018 or 2019 draft. I don't remember exactly which one. The Rams got him for nothing. And he has actually played pretty well at guard, but he could kick in at center and be that guy. Now, I want to ask you, because there's a lot of people, it's a burning question for Rams fans. Do the Rams go out into free agency and grab an Austin Reeder, who was actually, ironically, the Chiefs center, who didn't give up a sack last year, is arguably better than Blythe, one, or go out and grab, in the draft, grab a starter. But he's a rookie, so you have Matthew Stafford basically being protected behind a rookie center. Or do you start Corbett?
I think Corbett is your plan B. You know you have him in your back, like, hip pocket if everything fails. And you can be like, all right, at least we got this guy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think and how I would want, like, the Steelers to attack a situation like that is, yeah, go to the – with Stafford, I mean, I think you could go to the draft and get, like, a rookie guy. I mean, you're going to have him for at least 5 more years, dude. So
you
can
two,
build,
and then his contract.
well, yeah, but you'll
we'll
sign
see.
him. I'm sure you'll sign him. I don't see why you wouldn't.
He might retire early. We'll
You
see.
think so?
Yeah.
Is there rumblings of that already or something?
No, nothing's out there or anything like that. I just have a feeling like if they win 2 Super Bowls, right? They win 1 Super Bowl.
Okay, sure.
I think he'd leave. I think he would retire, go back to Detroit, and live his life.
Well,
happy.
then that changes the. I mean, it depends. I envision him signing being there for at least 5 years, and if that's the case,
I'll take.
yeah,
that.
go center.
Give me 5 years of Stafford.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Go center in the draft and get one of the younger guys that you like. I mean, who do you think would be there though? I don't know that Josh Myers would.
Josh Myers would be there at 57, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, Josh Myers, Landon Dickerson, who I wouldn't touch at all. He's completely off my board. Like I would.
Did you see him doing somersaults at the?
Dude, that was terrifying me. I'm like, you're gonna like wreck your knee again. Like
he looked good. He looked
looks
healthy.
good. And don't get me wrong, Landon Dickerson can play in this league. So when people are like, how could you take him off your board? He's a stud.
No, those injuries are terrifying.
The injuries are awful.
Terrifying.
2 season-ending knee injuries, ACL tears, and 2 season-ending ankle injuries. No, I'm not. I'm not doing it. I saw Barrett Jones. Barrett Jones had all sorts of, wacky injuries. Not dealing with it again. This is the year I put my foot down. I'm no longer going after all of these injury guys. Now, I will say this. I am very interested in Dylan Moses. But that's a little different. He hasn't been injured his entire career. He's had, multiple years in which he's played full years. He recently played with a torn meniscus the entire season, which is the biggest knock on him because some dude on TikTok I don't even know
made
why
videos
TikTok
of him
has
avoiding
draft.
hits.
Yes.
I saw that.
And
everyone was like, oh, he
didn't-
doesn't want to hit.
Yeah, so he didn't look into the context.
Yeah.
And because that guy just went on TikTok and basically made a minute video, what a joke. He didn't know that, he was playing with the torn meniscus.
But it blew up. I'm sure it got millions of views.
Yep, so now all these people are like, yeah, Dylan Moses is trash.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever. So, yeah, Dylan Moses is somebody, I think, with the torn meniscus. Then he had the torn ACL the year prior.
Where could you get him, though?
57.
You'd go that early on him? I think he'd
Absolutely.
be there in, 4.
Oh, he wouldn't be there in round 4.
You
Keep
don't
in mind,
think
this
so?
is a guy that's been on the NFL radar for years.
But there's so many good, athletic mold linebackers this class, and that with his injuries, I feel like would push him down a lot.
It's going to push him out of the first round. But
Oh, well, yeah,
he's
for
been
sure.
a first-round talent for 3 years now.
I don't know.
So-
I don't know that I see that.
So I think,
I could see him being there in the 3rd, 4th round.
be my guest. I'll take him there. But I'm saying that, this is somebody who had he's like the quickest kid to ever have a scholarship offer. Because it was like he was in elementary school and Alabama and LSU were at his doorstep. And I think it was middle school. Elementary seems ridiculous. But yeah, he's been on the NFL radar for a while. And I feel like a guy like Dylan Moses, that athleticism, I don't know if you remember, he's the same guy Bleacher Report made that video on. He could be the next Michael Jordan type of athlete.
No, I didn't see
Because he was
that.
the number 1 high school athlete. But he wasn't the number 1 linebacker. So he had the tough decision of having to mold himself into a true linebacker. And he did it. And he did it at Alabama. And, I have a really good feeling that, with his athletic ability and the fact that he can cover, despite what that TikTok guy was saying, he can cover, he can tackle, he can rush the passer. There's just an athleticism there that just isn't. It's not common, or it was. It wasn't common until
now
this
the last
draft.
3 years,
But I think that he can really. He's got great size as well. I think he could last a while in this league, and I think the Rams really do need a true linebacker.
Yeah,
we
you
can
do.
say what they will, you know.
No, you
Well,
do.
they didn't need one with Brandon Staley. Yeah, but don't you think it would have helped? Don't you think it would have helped to have a guy that can go sideline to sideline without
No, dude.
any issue?
I watch your defense.
That's the biggest issue.
In the last like 3 years, I've always said like you guys need like a premier linebacker.
And then everyone's just like, well, the game's not trending that way. I'm like, okay, so why did the Steelers go out and get Devin Bush? Why did the Falcons still have Deion Jones?
Devin
Why
White.
Devin
Levante
White. Why is he a
David
thing?
combo. I mean,
The
come on.
Levante, yeah, exactly. So
It's
I don't
clearly-
agree with devaluing an entire position. I'm actually
No
quite
way.
sick of it, to be honest with you.
Middle
if you want to go
linebackers-
running back, fine. You could say, well, running backs only last until 30.
Right.
Okay, you have an argument, and you have a ton of statistical evidence to back that up. But linebackers, you don't, because guess what? At every single big time defense, at the forefront
They have a
is
premier.
a big time
Yeah.
premier linebacker. Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis. I mean, there's all these premier linebackers, and I just don't feel that Patrick Willis is another one. I just don't feel like the Rams have that, and I feel like they could add that. And I really like Troy Reader. I like Kenny Young. I like Trayvon Howard, but these are rotational pieces. Although I think Troy Reader would start next to whoever they draft. But I do think, like people are saying, there's no way they go linebacker second round. I'm not saying that. I don't think there's no way. And then when the counter argument is, well, you're just saying this because Brandon Staley isn't there anymore, and you're saying it because Raheem Morris had experience with Deion Jones. Yes, but on top of this, Raheem Morris also has experience with the Tampa 2. And you can't run a Tampa 2, and I'm not saying they're going to, but you can't run a Tampa 2 without
need
having
that.
a defense that can cover the deep middle of the field.
Yeah, you need a you need a linebacker who can drop
So,
back.
Yeah, so I think that there's a legitimate shot out there. They go out and get a top linebacker in the second or third round,
I think
and
that would be
I'd be
smart.
all for it.
I mean, what is the biggest needs outside of center and linebacker?
And
Safety?
Safety no, because they draft Rapp in 2019, and then 2020 they draft Jordan Fuller and Terrell Burgess,
Right.
and they got really good contribution out of former 7th round pick Nick Scott. So safety, they're actually pretty good. That's why John Johnson, that's why they didn't bring him back. But John Johnson, to me, would have been, it was just another.
Thanks for letting him go to the Browns. Jerk.
I'm not exactly thrilled about it
Got to
myself.
deal with him now.
And then,
Carl Joseph, though, he's out there.
yeah, well, he better sign with your team because I want
That's
a perfect fit.
But I'm just saying he could also slide in with you guys if he wanted to spend the money there. I know things are tight.
I just don't know what they're doing with that, because it's like, if they wanted to, it's not a money issue. If they wanted to, DeMonte Casey, who had experience with Raheem Morris, he signed for
DeMonte
almost
Casey,
the
yeah.
very minimum, bro. And then you look at Keanu Neal, you're getting a stud safety who they're literally moving at linebacker in Dallas, by the way, $5 million for 1 year. So the Rams could have done that. And they were also in on Troy Hill. They were up for the $5 million a year that the Browns got, of course. He chose to go back home. So that tells you the Rams were in the market for a corner. They've met now twice with Asante Samuel Jr., who is
I like him.
kid of Asante Samuel,
Yep.
great cornerback for the New England Patriots.
He's more like a second-round guy to me, though.
I mean, here's the funny
Early
thing,
second.
Adam. This is where things start to come
But
full
still.
circle. If they get Asante Samuel and say they're still doing their homework on receivers. So even though they got Deshaun Jackson and they drafted Van last year, they're still looking at receivers. So if they were to draft Asante Samuel Jr. and Amon-Ra St. Brown in the third round, my way too early mock draft I did a year ago would actually be right on point for the
That's
first
funny.
2 picks.
That's funny.
What are the odds, man? I remember the 1 year I did it, and I had Minkah Fitzpatrick going to the Rams at 23, and it was he was way off the board by then.
Yeah, right.
But way too early. We'll see if that
Oh, man.
happens. I think they could go corner, they could go linebacker, edge. I would definitely look at edge defender because they
Even
have
though
Terrell
there's not
Lewis.
A lot of great outside linebacker options.
Yeah, there's not a lot of great. There's a lot of good, and there's not really a lot of good. There's
Exactly.
I'm very picky about. Okay, let's just put this
Specifically outside linebackers.
This way. Outside linebacker.
there's
I'm
some
probably
good edge.
the most picky this year.
There's some good defensive ends for a 4-3.
Well, I've been seeing
But-
Peyton Turner to the Rams, and I'd hate that because Peyton Turner is a 5 tech and 3-4.
Right. That's not going
He's
to
like
be.
a tweener, like the 270-pound guy. Like that's not what the Rams.
He would have to drop weight.
And I just don't know if that's in the cards.
Could be. I mean, the Steelers have done that for years. They make all their. They've drafted big and make them drop weight all the time.
There's not
Bud
a more
Dupree was
perfect,
270.
There's not a more perfect archetype for a Rams outside linebacker in this scheme than Jordan Smith.
Okay.
Well, actually, Jalen Phillips, but he'll be long gone. But yeah, Jordan Smith, I absolutely love him at a UAB. Hoping he ends up there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tyler McDuffie, what is your opinion with Chaz Surratt? Seems like a great enforcer in the middle of the field. Aubrey Thomas, cornerback from Michigan, would be a solid guy for the Rams defense. They have a guy from Michigan that I'm not too fond of with David Long, so we'll see there. But my opinion on Chaz Surratt is that he's slow. And it was really a bummer, man. Like, he ran like a 4.7. And, I mean, I kind of see that on film as well. He's a former quarterback turned into a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's like a 4th or a 5th round guy. But initially coming in, I thought he was like a 2nd or 3rd. So if the Rams drafted him at 57, I'd be furious.
Hope not then. Hopefully not.
So that's I just wanted to hit on that because, you know, the center, it's a big deal, you know. And now, like, I mean, you could also say with the Chiefs, they're building their offensive line, which finally.
Figuring it out. I mean, I don't know. You can't have a bigger wake-up call than that Super Bowl. That was probably single-handedly the worst offensive line performance I've ever seen in an NFL game. Like, can you think of a worse one? Every time he dropped back, there was at least a guy in his face, at least one. It was awful. I have never seen anything like it.
The only thing I've seen close to that is the same old sorry-ass Rams when they had any quarterback in that era of what they went like 15-65 over that time. I mean, I watched Bradford die. I watched Keith Knoll, Kyle Bowler, Mark Bulger, Gus Frerotte, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, well, if the Chiefs rebuild that line, that's terrifying. Because, I mean, if Patrick Mahomes is just back there with time, forget it. Like, good
I'm
night.
more intrigued, though, that they actually realized that their wide receivers aren't that great from their stars.
Right.
And they were trying to go out and get Juju Smith-Schuster. They were interested in a couple guys. I think they had some interest in Corey Davis. That actually gives me hope if I'm a Chiefs fan. Because the biggest thing when I said that they will take a drop is because I felt like they were too arrogant in thinking that they didn't need to look at the receiver position. It's so easy now. You just bracket cover Tyreek Hill. You get a guy that can actually cover Travis Kelce, and then you have to basically force Mecole Hardman to make a play. And if he doesn't,
you're out of luck.
So I do like that they, checked in, or not checked in. They really tried to get Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, man, you got to balance your teams.
So
it's just that's how you roll now in the NFL. You got to keep it balanced. You got to have specifically good in the trenches. Start from there. If you're not good in the trenches on both sides, you could get very far, but you're going to get beat out by the team that put the time in there, like the Bucs did. They had a great offensive line, they had a great defensive line, and it showed. And it came up and it showed up. So.
No, I agree with that. And, the Buccaneers bringing back all 22 starters. I know we talked about it last week. But
should we just give them the trophy now?
Well,
just give it to them now.
I mean, the thing is, I don't know why more teams aren't doing this.
Doing what?
Trying to bring back all 22.
Well, because most teams don't win the Super Bowl that commandingly.
But at the same time, it's like, if you're that close, like you look at like the Chiefs, if you're that close, or like the Bills, or the Browns, or the Rams, or the Packers.
They weren't that close, though.
Well, I mean, I think they were pretty close.
The Chiefs weren't. They got manhandled. The Ravens definitely weren't.
The Chiefs were in
Bills
the Super
weren't.
Bowl, though.
Yeah, but they got manhandled by the team that brought back all their players.
But the point is you bring back your guys, and then you add instead of taking away. Like, as much as I want to commend the Chiefs for helping their offensive line, they still did lead. They let Mitchell Schwartz go as one of the best right tackles in football.
He was bad.
No, he wasn't. He was hurt.
No, but throughout the season, he wasn't.
No, he was good. When he got hurt, they moved Mike Remmers there, Mike Remmers, I can tell you from experience, he was on the Rams practice squad.
I really
He's
wasn't.
not good.
I wasn't impressed with Mitchell Schwartz last year, and I looked at him because I was like, maybe he could be an option for the Steelers. I really didn't think he was that great.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he had a good year, but and then the other one, Laurent Devon Duvernay or whatever, Tardy.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I probably said 5 different names,
Yeah.
but he's got some wacky name. He's got like a PhD.
Good for him.
I don't remember his name, but I think they got rid of him. And no, they didn't get rid of him. Eric Fisher.
Yeah.
I like Eric Fisher. I didn't when he was drafted.
Was he the one out of Oregon?
No, Central Michigan, I want to say.
Wasn't there another Fisher that came out of Oregon who was like Jake Fisher?
Jake Fisher.
He went to the Bengals, I think.
Yeah, what he was supposed to be like.
He was supposed to be
good
athletic
and,
as hell.
Yeah, like the most athletic offensive lineman you've ever
And he
seen.
just disappeared.
Because
Draft night, man. Can't wait for those stories,
Yeah,
those headlines to come in. He is going to be the next big. Never hear from him again.
Lord.
You're like, what happened to him?
Yeah, right. Jesus. It's true though. There's a lot of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
That just they come and they go. It happens all the time.
Yep.
And Jake Fisher, man, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, dude.
Was that the same draft as Cedric Abui?
It might have been. Yeah, they drafted.
They drafted
Cedric
both
the
of those
first.
guys. They're like, they got all these athletic freaks, and then they just didn't
They
do
both sucked.
anything.
They both were terrible.
Yeah,
Hopefully they don't repeat that with Burrow.
Ooh.
Imagine they go like double dip at line and they're both
Oh,
just terrible.
God. Imagine if they don't take Sewell, and then instead they're like, we're going to draft Tevin Jenkins or something, and then Tevin Jenkins totally flops, and then they draft. Well, actually, I feel like I'm just saying exactly what the Texans did last year.
What's that?
Their draft last year was horrible.
Was it? I don't even
Yeah,
remember
they
who it
drafted
was.
like all these guys that like I literally. I mean, it was horrible per my board. I mean, maybe it wasn't that bad in the long run. Who knows? But I'm looking it up right now because their draft last year was so bad. They got. Oh no, maybe it wasn't last year. Oh, last year wasn't great. No, it was 2019. And their 2019 draft, yes, they got Titus Howard in the first round. That was the biggest reach, dude.
I remember Titus Howard. Yep.
Titus Howard. They got Lonnie Johnson in the second. And then they added Max Sharping in the second as well. I hated this draft. They got Rankin in the third round in 2018. He's not even on the team anymore. Do they know how to draft offensive linemen? Clearly not. That's why they went out and they realized that, they recognized that, and they go out and they spend a ton of picks to go and get Laramie Tunsil. But you know what you could have done? You could have just learned how to draft offensive linemen, not have to trade 2 first-round picks and go out and get Laramie Tunsil.
Yep.
It blows my mind
They're
that
in
this
shambles.
league there's teams that literally they're notorious for not knowing how to draft tackle. They drafted Charlie Heck in the 4th round last year.
Yeah. They're an interesting team to watch, man. I have no idea what's going to happen.
I don't think they're going to be horrible
crazy.
because they got a bunch of solid B- C+ players for cheap.
But aren't you you're assuming that means Watson's back, right? We have no idea what's going on with him.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know. Maybe they draft a quarter. Who knows?
Maybe they draft a quarterback.
Who knows? Maybe Kyle Trask at the end of the day ends up being the only quarterback that starts day one.
Maybe Kyle Trask comes
Except
in and
for
just
Lawrence.
saves the franchise.
Maybe.
I mean, he's so wholesome. He's a great. Have you watched his interviews?
I have not.
He's like a nice guy. I root for him. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, or it could be that one guy that, what's his name? Tate Martell.
Tate Martell.
Yeah.
Wait, is he in this class?
I do.
I don't think so.
I
I
just
think
know-
he transferred.
No, he had another,
I think he has one more year.
posted another Twitter.
Dude, people rag on that
Dude,
guy.
I know.
But he does
He posted another Twitter graphic that's new chapter. People you have 5 chapters, bro.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. Yeah. Yeah.
That just made me laugh. I had to bring that up. I don't have anything against the guy.
He's so Hollywood though for not having done a dang thing.
Because I think,
It's his name and he's good looking. That's really why. That's all there is to it.
yeah, I mean, Tate Martell.
That's a cool name,
He
right?
should be good with that name.
No, he should be exactly what he is, a guy who is overrated and has 5 chapters because
Where did he
That's his
transfer
name.
to? Now I need to know.
Oh, I forget. Yeah, look it up.
He's been with like Miami, Ohio State.
Yeah.
It says he's on Miami still.
Is he? Okay.
But what?
5'11".
Oh, no wonder why. He went to Bishop Gorman High School. That's a huge high school.
Dude, he's 5'11".
So he's Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
5'11", 210.
Good luck, Tate. Good luck, man.
So in Tate's career, this isn't to brag on him, but in 2018 with Ohio State, he went 23 of 28.
Why do people follow him?
I don't.
He's so irrelevant. Wait, tell him the stats. Go ahead.
23 of 28, 82 completion percentage, 269 yards, a touchdown. He had 22 carries for 128 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so
like
he had a total
one really good game worth
total
of
of
stats.
60 plays, basically.
And they looked good.
60
in those,
total
albeit.
plays.
And then Miami, he had
Had one
one reception, one pass for 7 yards, and then 7 carries for 0 yards.
So Tate Martell has had 60 plays in his college career, but they're making a documentary on him right now.
Are they really?
No,
Okay.
but that's where it's headed.
Because Jaron Williams apparently beat him out in 2019.
Hey, good for you, man. Good luck, bro. Good luck.
Martell opted out of the 2020 season because he was suspended.
That's not opting out. That's like me going to jail and be like, I'm opting out of life
Stop.
for a few years, guys.
No. No. What?
I'm
It was.
opting out. What a jerk.
He was seeking a hardship waiver in order to immediately be eligible via transfer, citing Ohio State's coaching change from Urban Meyer to Ryan Day. Martell was granted a waiver by the NCAA and is eligible to play Miami in 2019. 2019, he lost the starting job to Jaron Williams, the freshman, and then he switched to wide receiver. What?
Wait, what?
When did this happen?
Dude, his chapters are crazy. They should make a book and a documentary. Tate Martell is a legend. I'm watching him in college next year. Forget it.
September 2020, Martell opted out of the 2020 season, having been suspended.
I'm
for the
buying
start
a
of the
jersey.
season.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying a Tate Martell jersey.
Yeah, it is bizarre. He's very. How did he come up?
I don't know.
Like, do you guys
That's what
know?
happens.
Like,
That's
I mean,
just what
oh my
happens here.
God, this is what happens when you give us like 2 hours to talk about whatever we want
Yeah.
football wise. I mean, it's a football podcast or football, video
Show,
cast, whatever
yeah.
you want to call it, show. So who knows?
So yeah, the Texans are in disarray.
Yeah,
Things
their
are not looking
drafts
good.
for offensive tackle are bad.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so there are some teams around the league that I'm looking at. I'm thinking, okay, they could do something. Well, first off, there's 2 teams in the NFC East that intrigue me, and they're not the Cowboys or the Eagles. I think Washington,
Yep,
we've talked
Washington.
about many times, their defense gets better. They add Will Jackson III. They add Curtis Samuel to that offense. They go out and get Ryan Fitzpatrick's buddy from Tampa Bay and Adam Humphries, which I also like. They have Kelvin Harmon coming back.
Yep.
Guy that I really liked. He's like my number 2 receiver in that draft. Missed all of last season. So they have weapons. Antonio Gibson,
Yep.
the whole 9, right? Then there's people talking about Tate Martell in the comments.
Tate Martell.
Oh my God. Tate Martell, get your jersey. Nobody buys the jersey. Says it's 8 and 2 cool. Wow. That's bad. Okay, so then you have the Giants, and I really like what the Giants are doing this offseason. First off, they
We
weren't
talked about
scared to
that.
do anything. They literally were not scared to do anything. They go out and they get a Dory Jackson. They have Kenny Galladay, and they're
Yeah.
able to bring back or who did they bring back? I was just trying to remember. They brought back Leonard Williams. So, I mean, I like what the Giants are doing. They're going to get Saquon Barkley back, who only played, 1.5 games. So I'm a big fan of what the Giants are doing. We'll see moving forward, but don't be surprised that the Giants and Washington, they duke it out for that division crown.
Yeah, man. Looking at the Giants, though, the people they added is crazy because they only have $5 million in cap space, and that's with a rookie quarterback.
I know.
usually, like, when you have a rookie quarterback, you're a team with a ton of cap space. So it just shows they really went in on, like, surrounding, what's his name, Daniel Jones, with a lot of players. So if he doesn't perform this year, that'll be telling. Like, I'm excited to watch and see if he can be that dude or not.
Yeah.
Because he has everything. I mean,
agree.
what doesn't he have? I guess his offensive line could be a little better, but outside of that, man, I mean, you're looking at a pretty nice team, good weapons, good defense. Yeah, man.
I really like the pickup of Kyle Rudolph because I feel like they're getting a legit do-it-all tight end. And, like, Ingram to me is just a receiving weapon. That's kind of how they've used him. He's like a big slot, if anything.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I like that. What do you think they do in the draft? Because they don't have a ton of needs. I'd still, attack the offensive line position. I feel like, they go out, they retain Nate Solder, who sat out last year, COVID opt-out.
Yeah.
So they bring back Solder. They get rid of Zeitler, who quickly found a home, in Baltimore, of course.
Yep.
Because your your rivals are. It's like anytime somebody's released, either they go to Baltimore, Cincy, Cleveland, or they go to the Seahawks, Cardinals, or Niners.
Yeah.
Never fails. So, we saw that. They added a guy that I really liked in the draft, Matt Parrott out of UConn. I liked him a lot. He's probably going to start at right tackle. They still have Will Hernandez, a guy you and I both liked a lot out of UTEP.
How was he last year? Was he good?
He kind of dropped off a little bit, but I do think the problem was he was playing next to a rookie tackle.
That hurts.
In Andrew Thomas. So, some people have suggested Andrew Thomas playing guard. I don't know where they're going to do, what they're going to do with that, because if Parrott plays right tackle and they have Solder at left tackle, then he would have to play guard, and he's like their third overall pick or whatever.
Right.
So, that's definitely. But I do like that the Giants are at least trying with Daniel Jones. I wouldn't have drafted Daniel Jones in the first place, but I like that they're at least trying to make it work. They're going out, they're getting a tackle in Andrew Thomas. They go out and get a tackle in Matt Parrott. They go out, they get Kenny Golladay, Kyle Rudolph. They're getting him weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They added Devontae Booker, who I thought actually saved his career last year, if I'm being honest, with the Raiders. He had a solid year, and he's going to be the backup in New York behind Saquon Barkley, who is back. So it's also like you have to look at Saquon Barkley as like a new addition almost, because he only played 1.5 games last year.
Yeah, man. They have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of stuff going on over there. They could very, very realistically be a big threat in that division.
And why do more people not like Daniel Jones? Like, why do I fall in this category? Because I know he struggled last year, but he literally is everything you want in a quarterback in this day and age because of his mobility. And the dude can take off and fly. He was the leading rusher for the majority of the season. I'm pretty sure he might have actually finished the leading rusher.
He, I know he broke the mile per hour record.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Which is stupid. And then he tripped, but he still ran really fast prior to that.
Of course.
No, he's got the tools. He can move. He's got a big arm. I think it's just his face. He literally looks like a cup of vanilla pudding.
What?
He has no identity.
Yeah.
He's just a blank slate. Like, you look at I can't even picture his face in my head right now because he's just so cookie cutter looking. Like he's Eli Manning 2.0. It's like the same exact dude. No expressions. Have you ever seen him like express himself at all?
No.
Yeah, so I think people are just like, who is he even?
It is funny though.
And then they're like,
his face.
He can't be good because I don't even know what he is.
Yeah, that's a interesting point. It's something to definitely.
It's true. Trust me. Think about it.
By the way, did you know they added Ryan Anderson as well? So they got another pass rusher.
I did know that. Yeah,
that's a good move.
Yeah.
I don't know why no one's talking.
So
about it.
the
they
Giants
got Danny Shelton just now.
Yeah, the Giants better be good, or else
I'm gonna beat him up.
Yeah, I'm gonna fight them.
No, I'm looking at the draft, and I know there's a lot of people like instantly they love the idea of like going out and getting like a Devontae Smith or like a Jamar Chase at their pick, and because of the incoming run on quarterbacks, because you have a Caleb Farley that ran a 4.3 at corner, you have Patrick Surtain, you have J.C. Horn,
my guy.
You have, those guys at the top. You have Sewell, you have Darisaw, you have Slater.
Yep.
You could see receivers fall.
Yeah.
But do they draft one when you have Darius Slayton, Kenny Galladay, John Ross they added? They have Dante Pettis. They have Sterling Shepard. I mean, like,
It
I don't
would
know
be
if
really.
I'm adding a receiver.
It would be cool though to see them add like a big time number one, like top tier,
That's
receiver.
what they're paying $18 million a year for Kenny Galladay to do.
Yeah, I know, but like putting Kenny Galladay aside, he's more of like that contested catch guy. Obviously, he can go on the outside and he'll beat people with his routes. I'm not saying he can't run routes, but having him and then having like that high pedigree like Jamar Chase, like 4.3, just does it all, like Megatron style kind of receiver.
So you're saying have like the Twin Towers on the outside,
Right? That would be crazy to watch. That's all I'm saying.
Daniel Jones,
And like
because Daniel Jones isn't pinpoint accurate. Going back to what we were saying earlier, he's more generally accurate. So, that actually can make sense.
Yeah.
You go out, you get your quarterback receivers that he doesn't have to be pinpoint accurate to hit. They have a big catch radius. No, I get that. But I'll say this, they could trade down. They could grab a center like Humphrey at the end of the first. Say they get 2 second-round picks.
Right.
One of their picks, they could go out and get one of my favorite deep threat, jump ball guys in the entire draft, Nico Collins out of Michigan, 6'4", runs a 4.4. You grab him. This is really weird because I compared him to Kenny Galladay, so you'd have 2 Kenny Galladays essentially. And then they would have another pick there in the second round because they traded down. So they would have their center in Humphrey. So they'd have Creed Humphrey. They'd have Andrew Thomas. They'd have Nate Solder. You'd look at Will Hernandez, Matt Parrott. That would be your 3, or that would be your 5 offensive linemen. They'd probably move either Thomas or Solder to guard. Then you have Humphrey at center, and then you have Will Hernandez and Matt Parrott. That's a pretty good looking offensive line that I don't think Daniel Jones is going to get destroyed behind. Then on the defensive side, you have guys like Leonard Williams. You added Danny Shelton, Austin Johnson, Dexter Lawrence, a first-round pick from 2019 out of Clemson. You have Ryan Anderson, who you just added, O'Shane Ximines, a third-round pick from the 2019 draft. You have Cam Brown, a sixth-round pick from 2020 with Penn State.
Yeah.
You have Lorenzo Carter, Blake Martinez, balled out at linebacker, so you have him still. And then, in the back end, the secondary, Dory Jackson, Darnay Holmes, Jabril Peppers, Logan Ryan, James Bradbury.
Honestly,
what would you do? I mean, there's
when
a
you list
lot
off,
of,
there's like we said, they obviously have a lot of players, but when you list off the holes, to me it screams offensive line could be upgraded and defensive back, like potentially, or maybe middle linebacker.
I feel like they think that they're really good in the secondary, but
I don't
linebacker,
know. I don't know that I trust like Jabril Peppers to be my guy at safety.
They love him. He's gotten a lot better too.
Has he?
You have to forget everything you knew of him with the Browns.
Yeah.
He's a way better
All
player.
right, but to me, it's like middle linebacker and like all offensive line.
I would say maybe they could go out, grab another inside linebacker, or they could grab another outside linebacker. They could grab, like, what if they did this? They get Creed Humphrey, and then with their 2 second-round picks that we've created for them via this scenario trade, they get Nico Collins on the outside. So they have 2, top-notch, deep ball, big-bodied receivers. And then they grab a guy like, say, Jason Away, who is a monster athlete, as a pass rusher. Or they grab, somebody like Joseph Asai from Texas.
Yeah.
Or they say, screw it. They get another linebacker to go next to Blake Martinez, and they get a Jabril Cox or a Dylan Moses. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, I'd be excited as a Giants fan.
I mean, I think
be
the
like,
Giants are moving into that direction, and not enough people are talking about them yet.
Yeah, I mean, you do that, and what holes do they really have? They're one of the most complete teams. If you assume that every Daniel Jones takes a step,
Yeah.
I
mean, this is all up to Daniel Jones, and the Giants right now, I mean, think about this. We're talking about them not having that many holes, right?
Right.
I feel like if Daniel Jones doesn't pan out, everyone is going to look at the Giants and think this was your chance. This was your draft to go out and correct that mistake. Go out straight up. You don't have a ton of holes. Trade up and get a Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, whatever. And if they don't do that, I feel like they're going to pay for it. But I feel like the Giants' mindset, they are pretty sold on Daniel Jones.
No,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to. I'm gonna have to buy into that.
Are
You know what
people
I mean?
saying they should look at quarterback?
No, I'm saying that I think people are gonna say that if this doesn't.
That would
pan
be
out.
weird. Oh, sure. If it doesn't pan out, they'll hindsight's
20/20, yeah.
exactly.
But I think this is. I give credit to. I mean, I don't want to give too much credit to Gettleman. He's still not on my good side. But I will say I think that Joe Judge has done a phenomenal job. Coaching this team up.
Mhm.
He took a broken down team and almost sent them to the playoffs. They were a game away. Honestly, if the Eagles beat Washington,
Yep.
they make the playoffs. So, I mean, I'll just leave it at that. I think their coaching staff is very good, and I think they already have a really good unit of players. They could add a couple more, but like you're saying, there's not a ton of needs there.
Right.
So
That's a good spot to be in
we'll
for them.
see with that. But those are two teams that I was looking at in the NFC.
Yeah. Who do we think is going to have the worst year?
I'm
Outside of Houston's too easy.
I don't think Houston's going to have the worst year. I think it's going to be the Chicago Bears.
Ah. Yeah.
They have an amazing defense. Okay? Great defense. But their offense doesn't
Well,
doesn't
you
impress
hate
me.
Andy Dalton.
Andy
Let's
Dalton
just
is
be
not
honest.
a starting quarterback.
Let's just be honest. You hate him.
It's not even just Andy Dalton. So take Andy Dalton, who's not a starting quarterback in the NFL at this point in time. And now you're pairing him with Matt Nagy, who, by the
Yeah.
way, was asked yesterday, Matt, are you going to remain the play caller? I said, absolutely. Why? What have you done?
He wants to bury Andy Dalton. I think he hates Andy Dalton.
I don't hate Andy Dalton. I just don't like Andy Dalton.
Okay, so you think the Bears? Man, I think their defense is too good, and I think Andy Dalton is better than you like to give him credit for. So I don't think they'll
Bears.
be the worst.
Okay, Eagles. I like Jalen Hurts a lot more than Tua, by the way. So the Eagles, I actually look at their team on paper, and I think they're way better than giving credit for.
The Eagles, okay. I'm looking at the teams right now.
Who do you guys think? I know somebody said the Lions. I disagree. I think the Lions are actually be competitive.
Ooh, Lions is a kind of a good pick.
Hey, get
because
out of
of
here with
Jared Goff, bro.
I think Jared Goff is going to be fine because he's not going to be in an offense that needs to throw the ball 50 times a game. He's going to be an offense that wants to run the football.
I think the Bears I could see being brutal compared to the rest of the league. And then the Jets, I think, could have a repeat of a pretty bad year.
The Falcons, if we don't, what are they doing?
I was gonna say the
Matt
Falcons.
Ryan's deal, man.
I was going to say the Falcons, but they're clearly keeping Matt Ryan.
But if he gets hurt, you know what I mean?
Sure, well, we're assuming the teams are going to have their starting quarterback, you know.
He just hasn't been up to par.
The Falcons could be one. I mean, the Panthers, man, they could be bad.
I don't think the Panthers will be bad. There's a reason they wanted to get Watson. They're almost there.
But who's their quarterback right now? It's no one.
Bridgewater.
Yeah, well, you like Bridgewater. I don't like him that
so
much.
I don't even know if he'll ever play for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the Bears and the Jets would be my go-to too for
I think the Jets will be better than people think.
I don't see it.
Man, I don't even know how you decide. Because I don't think that there's truly a horrendous team.
and things
aside
change.
From the Texans because they don't have a quarterback at the moment.
Right.
So I guess it is the Texans by default since they don't have a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I'd say the Bears are up there, and I'd say the Eagles could be up there. Falcons maybe. Let's see. Yeah, someone mentioned the Lions. I mean, I'll make the argument for the Lions. First off, I think Dan Campbell is a good coach. I think they have a good offensive coordinator that's going to help their run game. He obviously has a track record in helping run games, and that is Anthony Lynn. I like their defense, obviously. Going out and retaining Romeo Okwara was huge. They still have guys like Trey Flowers and Okudah. I like their defense.
Okudah was awful last year, though.
He was. He'll be better.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think he'll be better. That was just – he was also dealing with all sorts of nagging injuries. You know what I mean? Your rookie year as a cornerback, one of the hardest positions to play as a rookie, And
No
then you're
kidding.
dealing with nagging injuries nonetheless.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you think Jared Goff is capable?
I think Jared Goff.
I think Sean McVay made him look way better.
But I also think what it's fair to say is that Sean McVay made him look way better at times, but there are also times where I felt like Sean McVay, when after the Super Bowl, when they got figured out by Vic Fangio's Chicago Bears, I think it was week 14 of that season, and then Bill Belichick implemented that Vic Fangio type of game plan to shut them down. McVay felt figured out, and so he tried to change things, I think, almost too much. And he needed Goff to get there with him, and Goff never got there. So I think if things just stay basic, like
But is that a sign of – that's not a good sign
no,
of a quarterback skill if you're like, he's a little slow, so we got to take
no,
this.
but I mean, like for instance, going up to the line of scrimmage and having to change the play 4 times over.
So what?
No, he's like reading, like he's talking in your head.
Yeah,
I
McVay.
think Goff got tired of that. I think that actually hurt him.
You should be able to pull it off.
But I'm just saying.
Or you shouldn't need Sean McVay to do that for you.
But I don't think he needed him to. I think
You
that's
think
actually,
Sean McVay's a little controlling in that aspect?
I think he was.
Yeah.
Now I'm not hating on Sean McVay, and I absolutely do believe Goff was holding back the offense, but I do think Sean McVay at times was overzealous.
I could see that. Yeah, you can tell he's very proud and passionate about calling plays. So
Yeah.
sure.
And I think that, with the Lions, you have DeAndre Swift now. You go out and you get Jamal Williams. It's a good-looking backfield now. Kerryon Johnson's your third running back.
The real question is how's their offensive line, because we know Goff
Everyone returned
falls
except for
apart.
Ode Abushi.
Was it good though?
I thought it's solid. It
Goff
wasn't
falls
the
apart
best.
under pressure.
It was not the best, but I think the thing that you need with Jared Goff is, first off, you need to establish the run, which allows him to throw and play action. He's one of the best play action passers in the league when you keep him in that rhythm, right?
Yeah, I mean it takes a lot of the pressure off.
But that's the thing. So when he has to make multiple reads
It's bad.
without play action, he can't
good.
do it. But
It's
when
bad.
you draw up those bootlegs and things like that to get him confidence.
No, that was always
early
when he
on.
was the best, for sure.
And the thing is, he still has accuracy. He still has velocity.
He's just got to be calm, and he's not cerebral. I feel like it's confidence and cerebralness with him, and he just doesn't have it. Because like you just said, when he got in a rhythm, yeah, he could really hit any throw, and he would make great plays, and you'd be like, oh, okay, he looks good.
Yeah.
But then a little bit of pressure, or things don't work out, or he has to go a little off script. Game over.
And I don't mind, first off, I think he's got some weapons, too. I mean, first off, they added Jamal Williams to DeAndre Swift. So 2 guys that can help you in the run game, but can help you also out of the backfield in the passing game. Then you look at the receivers. They add one of the best deep threats in all of football that people just don't talk about in Brashad Perriman, a guy that can really stretch the field. He's a lethal weapon.
Remember his draft night?
Yeah,
that haircut?
His hair.
God, that was disgusting.
That hairline.
Oh, it was crazy.
Oh, man. But yeah, they added him for $3 million on a 1-year deal. They added Tyrell Williams, who is a very underrated player, $6 million. He opted out last year, so a lot of people forgot about him, but he can play in this league.
So,
so those 2, they add T.J. Hawkinson, who's going to be one of the better tight ends in football.
He's a good one.
They have Quintez Cephas, a guy that they drafted last year. They like him. And they have a decently high first-round pick in the top 15, which I think will end up being either a Jalen Waddle, a Jamar Chase, or a Devontae Smith.
So you think they're going in on Goff?
I think so.
Man.
And I know there's a lot of people like, I would never
I'd
do
go
that. I would draft
quarterback,
a quarterback.
yeah.
And
But we don't know that
I don't
they're-
think you're wrong. I don't.
We also don't think there's going to be the top 4 there at that point. What? They're at 8, right?
I'm
or
not
7?
picking Mac Jones.
They're at 7?
Yeah. I'm not picking Mac Jones that early.
Right. It would be Mac Jones most likely.
The thing is, though, how much better is it to get Mac Jones behind Goff
Not much.
or just
have
keep
Goff,
and build around Goff?
I think it's, yeah.
People are forgetting that. You could argue the Rams, if things didn't go down the way they did, the Rams could have actually declined that trade for Stafford, and it would have made sense because Goff is still 26 years old. He's still very young.
He's 26?
He's been in the league for a while.
Feels like he's been, yeah.
Yeah, but he was so young when they drafted him. That was the thing.
was he,
That's
20?
why when people said, well, I'll admit to you, Wentz is better, but Goff is 2 years younger.
What was he, 20?
I think he is. Yeah, he was 20.
Wow,
And Wentz
dang.
is 22.
Kid.
Yeah,
Literal kid. That's us. That's our age, 26.
I know. Well,
That's crazy.
Penny Sewell's 20.
Just another
It's
good
like
reason to draft him.
People don't get it. Like, you have a premier left tackle prospect who's 20 years old, and everyone's just trying to, well, his arms aren't quite where I want them. Like, bro,
Dude,
are you kidding me?
Stretch his arms, okay?
Like,
you want longer
Oh,
arms?
the
Just
Brandon
stretch his
Allen
arms.
thing.
Yeah,
Remember that?
just stretch
That
them.
killed me. Before the combine, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Brandon Allen had a hand stretching machine that
Yeah.
he used to
Oh, I
stretch
believe
his
it.
hand size.
Yeah, I believe it.
Gosh should have done that because, man, he's been the butt of jokes for years because of the hand size.
Yeah, little tiny baby hands.
I think that's an issue, but actually one thing that I'll say, you're playing now not in the elements, okay?
He's in Detroit, but they have a dome.
They have an awesome dome.
But your
Ford Field is
division,
great.
not everyone has a dome.
That's true. But the Vikings have a dome.
Who's the other two?
Well, Chicago.
Right,
they
Chicago,
don't.
which is brutal.
That's good. Actually,
That's gonna be
Chicago is going to be brutal for
It's
Goff,
gonna eat
and
him
he's
alive.
Never played well there, ever.
Yeah, dude. No,
And then Green Bay,
that's brutal.
but he did it with
Wisconsin?
a broken thumb, and he looked solid in the ice cold tundra, the frozen tundra of Green
We'll
Bay,
see.
Wisconsin.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't think the Lions are the worst team in that division, and I think they could actually be number 2 in the division. I don't know what the Vikings are doing. I don't know their plan. I'd rather have Jared Goff than have Kirk Cousins, to be honest with you. Goff is
No
younger.
way.
Goff actually has experience in big games where Cousins doesn't, and Goff's accomplished more in a shorter amount of time. Plus, I feel like Kirk Cousins is he's actually in a way what's holding back the Vikings, because if he wasn't,
Well, he's just
then
not
how
good
did
enough.
They get there with Bradford and Keenum.
Yeah, he's just not good enough to get you there.
So
But they're like, well, he puts up numbers. It's like, okay,
yeah, it's great, but like he,
that's
okay,
great.
you know what Kirk Cousins is? Let me explain this. Okay, so the people that think Stafford is trash because he turns the ball over, they don't realize that Stafford's turning the ball over because he's down late in games and trying to make something happen. Kirk Cousins puts them in that situation. He's essentially what Stafford does when he has his back against the wall. And he doesn't do it all the time. He actually leads the league in fourth quarter comebacks over a certain amount of time. I forget how long it is. But Kirk Cousins legitimately puts them in that situation. I've seen this guy throw 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns in a game. And I almost feel like that's like almost a common statistic with him. Like, he will turn the ball over at will. And it's like, they'll be winning football games, and he'll take them out of that lead by doing that, whereas Stafford isn't taking them out of the lead. He's like, well, we're down by 10. I have to make something happen. My defense isn't helping, so I really need to do a good job here. And, I might have to take a risk. He takes a risk, and who knows, like, the ball gets tipped off someone's hand, it gets picked, and everyone's like, oh, see, this is why Stafford sucks. He can't handle the pressure. It's like, no. You press more when you're desperate.
Sure.
And so when you're down 10 with 2 minutes to go, yes, you might throw an interception because you're trying to make anything happen. Whereas Cousins literally puts the Vikings in a hole. I've seen it before, and I'll say this. The Vikings should seriously consider trying to trade up and getting a top quarterback. I think they're almost like how the Chiefs were when they traded
I
up
want
for Mahomes.
Washington too, though. I know you like Fitzpatrick, but
Yeah,
imagine if Washington
wanna
got
see
one of the top quarterbacks.
but I want to see 1 year with Fitzpatrick.
Maybe they could. I mean, they
Going
could.
away present.
He always steals snaps from rookie quarterbacks, so it would be nothing new.
It's gonna be weird when like he goes down with an injury and then some rookie quarterback steals his snaps.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
gonna draft like Felipe Franks.
Oh God, ew! Don't even.
No, they're
don't
not
even
gonna
go
do
there. All right. Anything else? I mean, what else do we want to cover?
Dude, Shot by Nolan commented Martell 30 for 30 on the way, and I almost like lost it in the
Bro,
middle.
I would
we were
believe it.
talking, and I almost like just spit.
I would
up.
believe it.
I was like,
I would tune in. Not just
Jamin
believe
Davis,
it.
I've seen a lot of Rams fans high on, and I can understand why, but he's only had 1 good year of college production. What round do you see him taken in the draft with his pro day performance?
How do you do at the pro day?
I think he ran a 4.3.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's like Zach Cunningham running a 4.3.
He puts on a show at Kentucky Pro Day. Oh my God. 6'3", 234, ran a 4.37 40-yard dash, 42 vertical jump, 11 broad.
I will say this.
I
The 4.3 40 might be a little bit of a like what, but you can't fake a broad jump and you can't fake a vertical.
That's explosive, yeah.
So
Wow.
the dude is an explosive athlete. He's honestly
Hey, Kentucky has some good linebackers in the NFL
Bud
right now.
Dupree.
Bud Dupree. Who's the other pass rusher?
Well, Josh Allen, but then they also
No, there was a guy who was with Bud Dupree their year, and he was on the Ravens, and he was good. He is good. Zadarius Smith.
Oh, Zadarius Smith, and then they have Trevathan.
Yeah, they're a linebacker. Low key, like low key they are.
Those are 4 legit
Yeah.
NFL linebackers. Trevathan's a starter. Josh Allen's a starter. Zadarius Smith's one of the most underrated pass rushers in the game.
Yep.
And
Bud just got paid.
got the most money in free agency.
Yeah. So
Jeez.
Jamin Davis. Yeah,
Yeah.
Where would he go? Where do
Well,
you see
remember
him
I
going?
brought up Jamin Davis.
You have. Where would you
couple-
see him going?
I mean, with those numbers,
It could be first. Bud Dupree. That was like a similar arc for Bud Dupree. I'm not even lying.
I
like-
thought he would be like a 3rd-round talent. I liked him as a 3rd. I think he'll be a 2nd,
Okay.
guaranteed. He'll go in the 2nd.
Man, there is some great middle linebackers this year, man.
I would not mind, by the way, if the Rams got him. Would not mind.
Of course not.
He's built like Corey Littleton, but he ran like 4 seconds.
God, he looks like he would
4/10
murder.
4/10 of a second faster than Littleton, because Littleton ran a 4.7. He didn't play like it though. That's the thing. No one knew that. Littleton ran a 4.74, but he's built like Littleton / Zach Cunningham, but that athleticism is monstrous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
imagine having that guy in the middle, 6'3" and all, just roaming.
4.37. Even if he ran a 4.47, I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, we've already gotten to the point where if a linebacker runs a 4.5, that's an amazing.
Oh
time.
yeah.
But like now we're in this realm where it's like 4.3 linebackers are growing on trees. So I don't know how I feel about it.
It's
I think it's
scary.
it pisses me off because
Just
I'm
put
seeing
them at-
everyone else get them and the Rams aren't
Just
getting
put them at
anyone.
corner. You're gonna start having these linebackers at corner.
my God.
Imagine, bro.
Well, we're already seeing pseudo linebackers like safeties, like it's
Yeah.
just, now
It's just gonna be a bunch of 4.3 defenders on the field eventually.
the thing with him though, he's a legit linebacker because I see it a lot. Like, oh well, he ran a 4.3, but like, is he a safety? And I'm like, most linebackers that run these 4.3s are legit linebackers.
Right.
It's like when people were trying to say, "Oh, Devin Bush, you can move him at safety." Why would you do that? That'd be such
stupid.
a waste.
People said that about Shazier too. I was like, stop.
That was dumb.
Stop.
Shazier was weird because he went to Ohio State, so they're like a huge college, but like people didn't treat him like a huge prospect.
I know.
Like I'd never understood that.
He
Same
shot.
thing with James Laurinaitis, honestly.
Dude, when the Steelers drafted him, I didn't know who it was. I was like, who did we just spend our first round? Who is this? I literally had no idea.
oh, I loved him. I thought he was going to Denver though. To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
That's what a lot of people said Denver loved him, but yeah. All right, cool, man. Anything else? Any other comments you want to cover or before we head out?
Let's see. Is that Daniel Jones or vintage Eli Manning? Falcons, maybe. Why on earth would Mac Jones go at number 3? I think we covered on a lot of the comments. So
Cool.
all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Episode 10 is done with the AJ Show. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back next week for episode 11. Things are getting closer to the draft. We will have more content. And be sure to follow Adam on, subscribe to Adam on YouTube. Adam Steele is his YouTube account. Subscribe to mine, Jake Ellenbogen, all caps, YouTube. And follow Adam himself Renegade Adam on Twitter, Adam himself on IG. I'm JK Bogan on Instagram, and you can find my Twitter at JK Bogan DTSN. So
Awesome.
hope you guys enjoyed. It was a lot of fun. We love talking these topics with you. It's basically like one of our conversations we'd had every day, but we're
Yep.
having them to you. So appreciate you guys, and you guys